Hello, today I'll be speaking on security in a social sense of the term. And this is organized as a part of a larger event, the theme being Fortifying Futures, which will discuss other issues like economic security, kinesthetics, cybersecurity, biosecurity, and I will be talking on social security. The topic seems to be very simple, easy, and almost as a given, but it is highly tricky and problematic because individuals are located in social context and the context is highly diverse. It is culturally diverse. Passing out students should know how they are going to face a culturally diverse social context within which their professional spaces are located. My first point would be, what is an elementary understanding of the term social? The term social means to share, to interact, to exchange. And the whole idea of social is not a monolithic entity, it is highly complex and diverse. The complexity has been exaggerated during the pandemic. Look what happened during the pandemic. Human interactions got confined to an online mode. There were withdrawals from social interactions, which led to a growing uncertainty, growing anxiety, and growing fear. And this has created serious problems of health, mental illness, and other kinds of withdrawal symptoms. So it is very important at this point to find out how a cross-cultural understanding of what we mean by security, how different societies characterized by different economic systems, different cultural systems, how they have been handling the idea of security by ensuring its members some kind of safe and secure atmosphere. This idea of social security is not new to us. It has been handled by the traditional societies also. Let me take a few minutes to discuss a cultural perspective of social security. Now, when I say that the traditional societies, I mean societies characterized by agriculture, societies characterized by different types of economic systems, and societies characterized by different types of values. In those societies, which are relatively small scale, which are relatively so-called, the pre-industrial, there are institutionalized mechanisms existing in such societies. Let's talk about some of the African societies where kindred and age grade systems are the organizing principles of their existence. Now, kindred refers to one's cousin, group of cousins. And usually in most of the societies, up to the degree of second cousins are member of your kindred. And if you are an individual, you call your kindred members at the time of economic crisis, at the time of personal crisis, at the time of your insecurity. And these members, up to the degree of second cousins, both from your father's side and your mother's side, they aggregate, they come together, stand with you like a rock. And when do you call them? Suppose there is a homicide, there is a murder in your community. Suppose there is a clan feud, or suppose there are hard and arduous economic activities. These economic activities require mobilization of labor, mobilization of several hands, and kindred members come to each other's rescue. So is the case with age grade system. What happens in the age grade? Most of the communities which have these age grade systems, they are expert in military warfare because they need to protect themselves from the neighboring enemy, from the conflicting societies and the neighboring warring communities. So the age grade system is very helpful for an individual. Now, who are your age grade? If people who are born within the age cohort of 3 years, and you know that after 30 years, all your age mates will become the village leaders. And therefore, you grow up together, you have the same orientation, you have the same perspective, you have the same kind of imagination, you have the same way of looking at the future, and that is how you grow up. When you talk about kindred and when you talk about age grade system, kindred is based on kinship, on relationship, and age grade system is based on the territorial principles, on the principles of village, on the principles of community. Similarly, there is also a principle called principle of division of labor. Look at the agrarian societies, which tells us that how There is a landed aristocracy at the center of economy in agrarian societies. That is the jajman and the serving caste, the artisans. They provide services all through the year, but in return, they get a fixed amount of the food grains. So the principle of division of labor and the principle of cooperation gives rise to a secure and safe economic context, which is beyond the principle of demand and supply. So traditional systems have been handling such ideas and such issues of social security or security in a social sense in its own way. So these principles have been fast changing because the society is moving away from the traditional platform to a modern platform, and from a modern platform to a global platform. Now, before we go to these changes in the modern and global context, let us also find out that how in a village community they have been handling physical threats from the enemies. Like most of the northeast villages, especially in the Nagaland, they have fortified villages. There are village walls, like the Chinese wall. There are village walls. And within this village, the community lives safely, getting protected from the neighboring ones. There are village gates, which are popularly known as khel gates. And these khel gates are highly important from the point of view of the safety. Now, people enter into the village gate, there is a census. And there is always an evening census and a morning census, how many went out and how many came in. Because, that was a highly volatile in the traditional context in 18th and early 19th century. This was highly volatile and traditionally very, very risky. So the way of organizing village solidarity has ensured physical protection. There are also village solidarity which comes up during natural disaster, environmental threats. Many of the mountainous villages in Nepal, the villagers come together to rescue one another at the time of flash flood, at the time of landslide, at the time of avalanches, and there is a great sense of community solidarity that individual members are protected from natural disaster and environmental threats. An interesting example comes from societies which have less resources. And when they have less resources, if one group becomes poor, there are mechanisms that individuals can be transferred from one group to another group. And this is found in case of kinship, which is bilaterally defined. That means you are a member of a kin group which is connected to you either through your father or through your mother. You have the decision-making power to join one or other group, but this is possible only when the groups are characterized by economic scarcity. Now come to the present context. In the present context, there is a gradual shift from this idea of society and community of location, which were defined on the basis of territory, to the society and community of interest. Now, people who are guided, who are bound by similar interest, they constitute a community, they constitute a society. For example, the youth clubs, associational groups, professional groups, online groups, they have created a digital community in the contemporary time. And in the contemporary time, the professional colleagues, peer groups, friends, family, and community, the idiom of interaction is changing because the new site of interaction. And in this new site of interaction, the contemporary youth is finding a new challenge. What is the challenge? Which we find among, most of our youths, they know that there is a larger kinship circle, there is a larger community sense of living together, but they are highly motivated towards the profession. Nothing wrong in it. They should be trying to achieve more and more, and to be highly professionally successful. They need a lot of time to invest in their work, in their profession. Now, this younger generation, they are not able to devote quality time to the friends, to the family, to the community. This comes at a context when most of us are puzzled, whether young or old, whether senior or junior, most of us are puzzled that what do we want in life? People take ages, people take aeons to come to realize what they need in life. What are the human needs? Now, there are psychologists, there are anthropologists who have talked about need long ago, 1940s. Two scholars, Maslow's theory of need hierarchy, all of you know how safety is an important component of human motivation. Malinowski's theory of basic human needs, an anthropologist, Malinowski, talks of how safety and protection are precondition for motivation, precondition for growth, health, happiness, and well-being. Now, the question which I am going to ask all of you is, what do you need in life? Suppose it comes to you point blank, to our passing out students. You want to be wealthy in life, or you want to be happy in life? It's an important question. Now, are they contradictory? Whether becoming wealthy and becoming happy are two different pathways. Now, a team of researchers at Harvard University found out important clues for leading a healthy and happy life. Now, this is one of the longest study carried out in anywhere in the world. The study started in 1938 after the Great Depressions. Some of the Harvard sophomores, 268 Harvard second-year students, were included in the study, in this longitudinal study, and the study has been continuing for last 80 years. And they have been trying to find out a formula for happiness. And in 2017, Robert Waldinger, the fourth director of the study, longitudinal study, have revealed an important idea that they found out, the Harvard School found out, that happier are those who have good interpersonal relationship. And this is so important, a phenomena to understand, to realize, to execute, and to be a part of it. Waldinger says that from their samples, which has become now 744, around that approximately, embracing the community helps us to live longer and happier. Now, people with strong social support developed a sense of security, leading to less mental deterioration. The study also found out that those who had strong interpersonal relationship when they were 50, they lived happily up to 80, and at the age of 80 they are very happy, they are very healthy, there is less of mental deterioration. So what is the revelation? The revelation is, you must take care of your body. Taking care of your body is important, but tending your relationship is also a form of self-care. If you are investing in your relationship, you are not investing in other, you are investing in yourself, and you are investing in your own care, and therefore it is very, very important. I will tell you an anecdote. One of my colleagues at the University of Delhi, her son was working on the west coast of USA at San Francisco. He was a techie, a computer engineer, and he was highly successful in his profession. When he was in his mid-30s, he got married, and he accumulated a lot of wealth. And my colleague has been telling that they are looking for an opportunity to visit him. I attended his wedding, and on one of the occasions, I found my colleague has been very, very upset. So I asked her that what is the cause? She said, I talked to my son this morning, and my son is having important issues about his mental health and about his happiness. He's not very happy. I said, is there something to do with the marriage, or does it have something to do with some other professional challenges? But what she said was very, very revealing. She said that is not the issue. The issue is, my son says that I have built up such a palatial house. I have made a huge ranch to grow the animals, and I have a BMW, but there is nobody to see with whom I can share my happiness, or whether I am happy, actually whether I wanted this or not, I do not know. Now, what I'm trying to say is to my young friends that you may buy any BMW, but if you do not have a friend to compliment you, to congratulate you, you will not get the happiness which you deserve. And similarly, we know that many religious cosmologies, whether it is Christianity, Hinduism, or Buddhism, many religious cosmologies, they talk about this particular kind of embracing the community. The idea in Christianity is community is God's desire for us. We are better together than we are alone. In Buddhism, we talk about Sangham Saranam Gacchami. I take refuge in the community. And in Hinduism, we talk about Vasudeva Kutumbakam. So when religious cosmologies, which are based on the inspirational revelation which has been accumulated at the level of humanity, should not be ignored in a professional context. So to sum up, I would like to say how to look at the whole issue of social security or security in a social sense. I would like to say that the definition of social security is varying and evolving, and an anthropological, historical, and political approach to social security tells us that in the contemporary context of globalized professional world, new values are required. Let me sum up in few important points. Point number one, that we all know primordial ties connect individual with the group, creating a sense of belongingness. And these primordial ties are the ties of family, kinship, caste, ethnicity, religion, so on and so forth. These are the primordial ties which connect us to a group and make us or create us a sense of belongingness. The second, the principles of cooperation, principles of reciprocity underline the social interaction. No social interaction can be devoid of these principles of reciprocity and cooperation. We know that. Number three, the idea of human right, the idea of social justice constitute the essence of security in a social sense. Individual security cannot be ensured unless we have respect for human rights, unless we have respect for social justice, and unless we have a respect for human dignity. And finally, when we talk about concern for human dignity and empathy, these are universal values. And these are values which help us to transcend ourselves. And these values, commitment to these values, values of human rights, social justice, empathy, human dignity, they help us to transcend, to go beyond the primordialities, but without undermining it. And we always find that the humanity is confused by treating these two as separate entities, but I would like to see a meaningful bridge between these two entities, the primordial ties on one hand and the cosmopolitan and universal values on the other. And this is the new link which we have to search, where our idea of social security, idea of individual security lie. Thank you.